All right, thanks everyone for joining today's Match Day -2 media availability with Nashville FC head coach BJ Callaghan, head of the team's match Sunday at New York City FC. Coach, the rare Sunday match. If you could just start talking a little bit about how training has gone this week, preparing for a Sunday match, and then of course what you expect to see from New York City on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, back from St. Louis, able to sort of process that game, and normal training week for us. The fact that it's on Sunday just moves our schedule a little bit. Obviously, the group is looking to get back at an opportunity to compete. I'm going to compete against a really good team. First and foremost, we know that they're really well coached. They're adaptable from a tactical standpoint, able to do many different things, and then have a few really high-level playmakers that can hurt you. So I think a team that if we're disciplined, we play our way. I think we're going to give them a good game.
Thanks, Coach. We'll start with Bob. We'll go down the line and can ask two questions if you have them.
BJ, how much different is it playing on a baseball pitch versus a soccer pitch?
I mean, yeah, they're certainly different. I mean, obviously, it's the surroundings are different. The way the field's set up is different. The surface will be a little bit different. But for us, we're a team that prides ourselves on being able to respond to what's kind of thrown at us, and it's the good thing is that you're not walking into something unexpected. You know what you're walking into, and we'll prepare for it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just kind of had a question about looking at the squad and just kind of how the goals are distributed. Obviously, Sam and Ani, I think they're combined for like 30 between the two of them, and then it drops off to I think 2 in MLS play. I guess how would you kind of assess the rest of the squad and what they're doing to kind of create those goal-scoring chances, and do you kind of want to see someone step up and kind of maybe pick up some of that goal-scoring load down the stretch?
I think from the beginning we don't really. It's not about who's scoring the goals. It's about are we able to create good goal-scoring opportunities, and are the players finding themselves in those positions to execute. I think when you look at kind of across the totality of the season, we've been able to create good goal-scoring chances. Right now, Sam and Hani have been the beneficiaries of that. And sure, if other guys find their moments, they should finish. I know there's guys out there that think they should have a couple more goals because we've missed some chances as well. So for us, the only thing that we care about is the performance that we put in, the process that we follow, and if we're able to, if that can, I would say, lead to a result that is 3 points for us. How we get there, who scores the goals, that doesn't matter to us.
And then just a couple guys I wanted to see if you had updates on. Obviously, we've talked about Tyler a lot. Just what's his status? Dan and Walker both missed last week, and then Wyatt went off injured. Are you able to kind of share what's going on with
Wyatt out, Dan out, Walker in, Tyler Boyd still TBD here, and just a constant sort of dance about how he reacts to certain things as we try to reintegrate him.
Yeah, with Dan and Wyatt out, I guess who do you expect to step up at left back?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a couple options. You've seen Josh Bauer came into the game over there. Tate Schmidt is still healthy, training. So for us, I think we still have some decent options. Both guys have I would say good MLS experience for us.
And Bob mentioned the field, or mentioned playing at Yankee Stadium, and obviously they have statistically the smallest field in MLS. I guess what does that do for you and your playing style?
I mean, for us, it's still I think we still keep the same way. We pride ourselves on trying to play the same way no matter where we go. We want to be a team that remains compact, is able to build pressure. We still think there's opportunities out there that we can control the game with the ball and look to exploit different spaces. So I think you're still going to have two teams that are going to compete. So for us, maybe just different phases of play might be highlighted more than others.
Sorry.
BJ, there is struggles. I mean, if you can call them struggles, but losing 2 games away, which is so difficult anyways, in this league. Is that something you can maybe pinpoint in terms of what the team should not repeat in a place like New York at this time?
I mean, I don't think we look at things through this idea of like home and away or those type of things. I think we evaluate the game based upon, were we able to execute and do things in certain phases. Coming out of the St. Louis game, there's areas that we needed to improve, for sure. We weren't happy with the way that some of the areas of the game we performed in. So, that's why we come back and we train and we prepare again. So yeah, for us, it's just about a constant evaluation of ourselves and trying to improve areas and to play as consistent as possible.
You already stated, and you do all the time when you talk to us, that the team tries to play the same way everywhere you play. Now, taking that into account against a team like New York, who actually plays some way similar like you, pressing up very up front, how confident are you that you might be able to catch and break that in your advantage?
Yeah, I mean, you see a New York team that does really well pressing. I think they're confident in that ability. They have a high line, so I think there's opportunities. If we can play the ball, break the lines, how we always try to play, occupy spaces. Hopefully we can exploit those opportunities that we get.
All right, we're back with Nashville C midfielder Patrick Yazbek. Patrick, a rare Sunday match this weekend. So if you want to start maybe by talking a little bit about preparation for that, how it's different, how it's similar, and then of course what you expect to see from New York on the weekend.
Yeah, I guess it's just changed, obviously, the layout this week in terms of days, but nonetheless, it's always kind of the same preparation, no matter who we're coming up against, and I'm looking forward to the away trip in New York.
Great, start with Bob.
You ever played on a baseball field before?
Yeah, no, haven't played on a baseball field. Played on an AFL field, played on a cricket field. Baseball field's probably something that's next. I have a friend who plays in New York, Aiden O'Neill, and he's kind of given me the rundown about how it's kind of like different levels, some parts of the pitch, but that's something we can't control. You just gotta kind of embrace it, and yeah, it's gonna be exciting to see how it goes.
Ben?
Yeah, last time you guys played New York, obviously it went up 2-0 and then kind of conceded 2 in the second half. I know that was a long time ago and very different scenarios for both teams now, but kind of what do you take from that game, I guess, going into this weekend?
Yeah, obviously, it's something maybe to rectify. We want to go into this game and kind of get the 3 points, because obviously last time out we felt like we probably should have and we didn't, which is something that is a little bit more extra motivation. And also some learning points too. Obviously they are a good side. They play a little bit similar to us, and they have their strengths, but also their weaknesses. So I think if you look back on the 2-2, it's kind of, I don't think, a justified result for us. So that's something that we're using as extra motivation to go to New York and kind of get the job done.
And then BJ talks a lot about just wanting to be process-oriented versus result-oriented. And he talked a lot about that during the kind of unbeaten run earlier in the year. How do you... what are some ways you're trying to implement that after 2 losses? Yeah,
that's the idea. We want to be process orientated, and I don't think that we want to reflect on the previous results, no matter if they're positive or negative. It's a mentality where it's the next game and that's the most important game. That's literally it. So obviously it's unfortunate for us that we haven't gotten the results that we have wanted to. However, it has not come up in conversation at all week. We're so focused on this game as a singular fixture against New York, and I guess that's the kind of approach that we're going to take from now for the rest of the season, and for as long as BJ's here at the club and I'm at the club. So it's obviously it's exciting to think like that. I don't think we have too many negative thoughts at the moment. It's all positive, and we're just really looking forward to going out on Sunday and winning.
Yeah. With New York City FC playing at Yankee Stadium, statistically the smallest field in MLS by dimension, how does that affect your game, knowing that you're someone who likes to run, likes to cover a lot of miles out on the pitch? Are there areas you try to emphasize more?
Yeah, I mean, you play on all sides, all kinds of pitches. Like obviously the St. Louis one was quite big, probably one of the biggest we played on, and then now New York's going to be the smallest one. So I think for me personally, it doesn't really make a difference. I'll always kind of adapt to whatever the game's asking me to do, and the fact that it's a little bit smaller probably makes my job easier. It means that I don't have to run as much, and I can kind of cover the ground quicker. So it's going to be fun. It's something that we can't control at all, so we just got to prepare well and go there and just take it as it comes.
And what's it been like to kind of as a club to be reincorporating Tyler Boyd, to have him in training and closer to return? Is there maybe any maybe friendly banter between you and him?
Yeah.
Australia.
Obviously when I first came, I didn't get to see Tyler on the field at all, and we've had this little running joke over the past, or let's say past few months, especially when I first got here, that I'd never even seen him touch a ball, and we were like real close friends. So he's a great guy, you know, really good family. And, you know, I'm just really excited to see him back on the pitch and doing well. I think this last week he's looked as sharp as he's ever been since he's kind of reintegrated into the squad. So, you know, I've seen his clips and his highlights, and I'm excited to have him back in the team as a player, but also as a person, you know, real good personality. And, yeah, I'm keen to see him on the field.
Last two games that you disputed were against very good teams. I mean, no disrespect to any of them, of course. I mean, San Diego's first place in the West Conference for some reason. But was it more, in your opinion, more stuff that you probably didn't do, or just to drive out, or how was that in terms of combination?
Yeah, I think when you look at games, obviously, it's never going to be perfect. You know, like you look at the Columbus game that we played at home, we won 3-0, but was it perfect? No. So sometimes it's about moments. You know, obviously the first goal that we conceded against San Diego was more or less a moment that kind of let us down a little bit, which is something that we've looked back on and we're aware of. And same as St. Louis, you know, it's a game of moments. So I think as a team we are playing very well and we're consistently playing well, but it's just about managing the moments in the games. And obviously when you do go away from home, that's something that's a little bit different. You know, you need to be a little bit more intelligent in terms of, let's say, gamesmanship and, you know, kind of slowing the game down when you have to. So I think that's something that we're kind of, you know, looking at growing and developing. But, you know, like I said, it's always about the next game, and, you know, knowing that we have a team that's willing to play in New York, it's going to be exciting, and, you know, we're just so focused on getting the job done there.
So from the start during the game that you can actually control as a team and play the way you play, how confident is the group right now that this could be a very good opportunity to set back to the winning ways?
We've never been more confident than ever, you know, and I think that's so important. You know, when you go into a game, you don't want to go in thinking that you're not going to get the result that you want. So, you know, we're just so focused on improving as a team, and I think if we just really lock in on what we've been working on in training, we give ourselves a chance. You know, that's the most important thing. And then once we've given ourselves a chance, it becomes a moments thing. And then if we take our moments, we'll succeed.